a view from the fourth floor. Now I'm doing some laundry, of course, and I think it's a good time to talk about some stuff that's been happening. And yeah, see, the Champions League final was done with Real Madrid won again, making it how many times already that they've won. So it's a good thing, I guess, for Real Madrid. There was a question on whether or not Dortmund can give them a game, but it turns out that yeah, they couldn't. It was, I believe, both a good game and also not so good game. You know why? Because I think the first half, when I saw the highlights, Dortmund had some chances. They were able to attack and I think hit a post, but ultimately in the second half, I think towards the end, Madrid showed that they were a much better side and ultimately winning. But I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, that there was a clause in Jude Bellingham's contract that states that if Real Madrid won the Champions League, it will mean that Dortmund would still be entitled to some payment, which potentially turns out to be more than the prize money. But I don't know how true is that. So that's club football pretty much over and done with. We will now wait for the Euros to come in. I think it's held in Germany, I think. Yeah, probably in Germany. And that will give us an opportunity to see some of the players that's on the radar of the Premier League clubs. I'm interested to see who Arsenal ends up buying. There are talks, speculation on whether or not Arsenal will be buying Benjamin Sesko, the RB Leipzig striker. And from what I've heard, it's one of those signing that he's a young player, he has a lot of potential, has raw power, 6 foot tall, has all the hallmarks of a great striker potentially, and the price being quoted is around 40 million pounds, which is a lot. Well, not a lot per se, but still significant. But is he the marquee signing or the striker that Arsenal need to get us over the line to finally win the Premier League? I don't know. It does has a lot of potential, so we shall see. And Arsenal is also being linked to some other players, namely Victor Osimhen, which I think we've been linked to him since the last couple of years. And we are also linked to Isak, the Newcastle striker. But the price, I think Newcastle is quoting up to like almost 200 million, which is crazy. 200 million for a striker, that might break some records over there. Yeah. But then again, if that is what it takes, the price that you need to pay, then maybe you need to pay, because I think you can't run away from the fact that Arsenal is probably one striker, some midfield cover away from really challenging for the title again next season. And whether or not we get the reinforcement, I think they were talking about, since Arsenal actually scored a lot of goals last season, we might not need a striker, probably, but might be wrong. Me personally, I just hope that the Gunners build. Again, I think I've mentioned it before. They build from last season, making sure that some of those games where we lost or we drew, maybe having a better striker, could have given us different results. Incidentally, when I was in Penang at the Design Village factory outlet. I got a good bargain on the 23-24 Arsenal home jersey. This is the Thomas edition, or I don't know. I got 60% discount. So from 549, it ended up being 219, which is a good deal. I always buy the previous season Arsenal kit, when they are on a discount or a deal. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe this year we're gonna look at the new one. Let's see how. But yeah, so that's on Arsenal so far. Right. So in some other news, spent the whole week in Penang. I think it was the school holidays. They took the kids out. I think we went to Entopia, which is the butterfly park. Which I think if you have kids of a certain age, there's a lot of things that you can do at the butterfly park. To learn about insects, to learn about butterflies. And my daughter and my son had the opportunity to hold a python and some glowy scorpion things. I think we've been there before. I think a couple of years back, but now that the kids are much older, I think it was a great opportunity for them to, uh, get back to nature in such a way. Yeah. So Penang, I think I love Penang. I think Penang to me is a good place to eventually end up. The food is great. Okay, you can say a lot of things about the traffic and all that, but you get used to it. But yeah, anyway, I think we drove back. I think we just got back to KL today, and drive back was a long drive. I think because of the end of the school holidays, I think people are driving back today, and we ended up, leaving Penang. I think at around 3 p.m. Had a few stops, but eventually arriving in KL at around 9:30. So that's almost 6.5 hours. Granted, yeah, there were a few stops along the way, but yeah, I mean, it was a slow drive, but it's good that you have kids with you in the drive, because they make the trip much more fun. I think my daughter is at that phase where she loves to listen to those kind of heavy heavy music, and it's good that I also share some of the interest, I think, and she can relate. No, I can relate to her music. I think funny thing, when we were in Penang, because I think we went out and my wife had to take the other car, and so when we went back, I think we asked the question, okay kids, who wants to follow mama, who wants to follow daddy? And my daughter would be like, since I want to listen to my own music, I want to follow daddy, because her mom doesn't approve of the screamy shouty rock songs. But of course my son will always, it's okay mom, I will follow you, and kind of a balance there, I think. So is a bit of a mama's boy, while the sister is daddy's girl. Right. So in other news, I think the last week there were a few interesting stories that came out. One, I think there was a story about an OKU Grab driver that was assaulted. And the whole controversy surrounding it is all about how the police which were investigating, or which received the report, acted in a manner that is not consistent with those cases. I think the driver was the victim, but it ended up feeling like they were investigating him as a suspect. They were asking for where the phone to be confiscated, and then he was briefed, or he was informed that if he wants to continue with the police report, there was a lot of action. Of course, the whole thing blew up. A lot of other parties were involved, I think, asking for more, is it a better position, a much better reaction by the police and all that. And since the assault involved certain VIPs. I think more people have making noise on how, it seems that it feels like the police are not protecting the people or whatnot. Well, now I think it has gone much bigger now. I think even there were comments, I think, from TMJ asking the police to investigate, and I don't know, eventually, we might come to a resolution of the case. It could probably turn out to be, actions of, overzealous personal security, or we don't know. But of course, all that brought about many other comments surrounding how, the behaviors of certain segments of the society is behaving and all that. I can't really talk much about it without entering into territory of, what's that, sensitive nature. You don't want to get into trouble. But yeah, I think it's pretty much, people have kind of the same things, thinking about it, but not many are willing to say what they feel, because, at the end of the day, not be all with it. But, regardless, I think there are people who are willing, who are saying the things, and I guess we need these voices to be heard. And, we do what we can do. If you're facing certain risks, you don't want to take it, what you want to do. The other news that came out was how I think the Selangor state government were looking for companies to provide a service like a public e-hailing service, like e-hailing but for public transport. And what happened was, the company that was shortlisted, the CEO was the husband of one of the ministers in the current cabinet. I think Hanayo, the youth minister, her husband, Mr. Ramachandran, I think, was the CEO of the company, the Asia Mobility, which is shortlisted to provide that service to the state government. Of course, there is the question of, this is, conflict of interest, it's like the nepotism. I don't know, it's not. But to me, I think conflict of interest is a serious concern. However, there are safeguards, or there are things that needs to be done or can be done to ensure that you don't run foul of whatever is it, or whatever regulations that is in place. I think in the first place, if there are issues of conflict of interest, usually there's a declaration. Companies need to declare that they have, certain family members or certain, what you call that, yeah, so usually family members is involved in certain areas, and if the parties involved are in a position of decision making, they need to make sure that they excuse themselves out of the whole decision making. But in this case, I think it looks like the contract is with the Selangor state government, and they have their process of identifying the companies that would be able to provide the service. And I think the minister herself is not in the position to make any decision. But of course, it's part of the same government. So, ultimately you would think that, hey, let's just eliminate yourself from those situations, and probably just don't be involved, don't be part of it. But yeah, I mean, what you're supposed to do, right? If you are a family member of someone who is in government, does that mean that you're not able to be part of any of the opportunities that may arise? I know that's a question, right? Because ultimately, if you are a company or a provider of a service, even before your partner or your spouse becomes a minister and whatnot, does that mean that you should stop doing what you're doing? You may be the best, but just because your wife is a minister, you're not entitled, or you're not allowed to. If the contract was with the youth ministry or the sports ministry or whatnot, then fine. That's very clear cut conflict of interest. But in this case, the company is a company that provides a service, mobility or something, and then it's in their scope of what they do. and they've been identified by a separate party. Is it really conflict of interest? Who knows? But ultimately, in the end, as a government, you don't want to be seen as having this kind of practices. You should just avoid. Already that hey, your husband is there. I think it will not be a good look, especially when you are saying that, we need to have all this, everything is above board and whatnot. And the kind of funny part is when you start making or justifying certain things, and it becomes a bit more, maybe you should have avoided it in the first place. Yeah, who knows? All right. So last but not least, I think it's probably a short one. To my daughter, I think she's in her final days of her exams. I think she's the last 3 papers, and she's gonna turn 16 this year. Man, 16 already. And as a father, I think these are the moments you kind of dread, right? As your daughter grow older, whether or not she'll behave differently, which she probably will, but you just can't get the days when you hold her in your arms for the first time, that small little baby, and now she's like such a big girl, which brings me to this point. I think I was sharing with the kids. I think we have this one thing that we do with our children. I think whenever they lose their teeth, right, their tooth thing, because they watch cartoons and all that. There's always a tooth fairy that comes and bring like money for the tooth and eyes. That's all good fun, but I took it a step further. So without them knowing, of course. So every time they lose a teeth or lose a tooth, I would draw a nice card with a message saying, "Oh, it's such a big boy, big girl. You lose a tooth. Here's some money for your teeth and whatnot." And throughout the years, it evolved into something like, whenever they lose their tooth, they look forward to the card. To a certain extent, they were asking for, "Hey, what kind of drawings will the tooth fairy draw for me?" So they'll be saying that, "Oh, okay, I want this. I want my son. He wants. I want Godzilla. I want Among Us. I want this, that, and that." My daughter is also this and that. So I was the one who like secretly, or drew all the art, the cards and all that with all the message, and snuck into their rooms and put it under their bed. And when they wake up in the morning, daddy, look, the tooth fairy left me a card and some money. Oh, look how they draw the card. Now since they are all much older now, I think my daughter is 16 and my son is 13, and I think that it has been quite a while since they lose any teeth. So I decided to kind of inform them or tell them the secret. Last time, I think a couple of days back during dinner, I think, because my son was saying that, "Oh, look daddy, I can draw this, I can draw that," and because they always see me as someone who's not good at art, cannot draw and whatnot. Then I told them the story about the tooth fairy and all the art, and then my daughter was like, I kind of knew that it was you, daddy. When did you know? At one time, because when I was asking for a picture of a character or something, I saw the same image in my iPad, and I thought it was the tooth fairy who looked into my iPad and made the drawing." Yeah. So it's like they were all not disappointed, but kind of like finally it explains it. All the artwork came from daddy. Daddy's the one who's doing all the interesting art and stuff. Although the mother is my wife is much more artistic than me, but of course, these are the things that daddies do for their kids. Anyway, so now my daughter is like, "Oh, daddy, since there's no tooth fairy and all that, what happened to all our teeth?" Like, "Oh yeah, I kept it in the house." "Oh, can I have a look?" Yeah, but I don't know which teeth is whose, right? Because it's all mixed up. "Oh, okay, just want to see." Anyway, that's one like thing out of the way. And it's not like we believe in tooth fairy and all that. It's just all good fun. I think we explain it to the kids. But yeah, and what kind of the things or the secrets that you tell your kids, or the things you tell your kids to do something, right? In this case, like for them to, hey, take care of your teeth, brush your teeth, you know, later if you don't take good care of your teeth, later won't get money from the ferry and all that, you know, just to, you know, keep them in line lah. Okay, that's it. I think I'm gonna share with you guys what's happening. So till the next episode, bye.